AITA for explaining to my boyfriend what declawing is?
I am not the oop. Oop is you, pouty fairy. AITA for explaining to my boyfriend what declawing is. Originally posted to r, am I the asshole? Thanks to you, Sleepy Elsa, for suggesting this bo are you. Trigger warning. Explanation of declawing a cat. Less than. Original post recovered with raw Reddit June 5, 2022. My boyfriend, 24, and me, 24F, have been dating for a few months.
I'm moving out and didn't have much time to prepare because of circumstances outside of my control. The move-in date is July 8th and I need to be out by June. I have 2 cats and while I can find a place to stay, I need to put them somewhere safe. Boarding is my last option as it's almost $1,500 to board, which is a lot of money. I asked my boyfriend if I could stay with him for the 8 days with the cats. My BF lives with his parents and sisters. They own a mansion with 6 rooms. He and his sisters don't have to pay rent. He said he would ask them. He called his parents and his mother asked if my cats had claws. I said of course they do, if they didn't have claws, and my boyfriend cut me off. He walked away to finish the call and when he came back he told me I can't stay because the cats have claws and will ruin the furniture.
I said it was okay I couldn't stay with the cats, but then tried to explain that declawing a cat was unethical and how it's the same as cutting off a human's fingers. I then asked if he or his parents knew that and he looked at me annoyed and just walked away without saying anything. This upset me, so I left for work and then texted him to reiterate it was okay I couldn't stay and I'm not mad at that. I just wanted them to understand what declawing was and how it's not good for cats and it's not good to expect cats to not have claws. That most people didn't know, but I think it's important they do so it's not normalized. He told me I was being rude and said I lectured him like he was an alt-right declaw supporter and that his parents are the same and they hoped I declawed my cats.
I didn't know how to respond to this, as I tried my hardest to explain I wasn't upset by not being able to stay but just wanted them to know what declawing entailed. I also never said I thought his parents wanted me to declaw my cats, just they didn't know what declawing was. AITA by trying to explain what declawing was and why my cats wouldn't be declawed? I feel very bad and like I should apologize. I'm confused. Verdict, removed before verdict rendered. Relevant comments. Squigs.
Okay, I agree with your stance here, but I don't understand why you felt this was the time for this lecture. They've said no, essentially. Find some other option SL. Oop. They said no and that's okay. I just know many people don't understand what declawing is, or they would not ask if a cat had claws. The only way for a cat to not have claws is for the entire digit to be removed, because like human fingernails, pulling them out will only remove it temporarily. It's just a very scary concept to me, especially because I love animals, so I tried to explain to him after the call what a cat not having claws means.
Striking Firefly. I'm not going to say you're an AH. But there's a time and place for a discussion about declawing and this wasn't it. You didn't even ask for their stance on declawing or what they knew about it. You just assumed they needed a lecture. Do your boyfriend's parents even have cats or any desire to get them? Furthermore, it wasn't your boyfriend's question, it was that of his parents, so I completely understand why he was annoyed by a lecture he never asked for. So nah, but the lecture wasn't called for. Oop, no. My boyfriend's parents don't have cats or want to get any. My boyfriend himself wants to get cats though. He plans to adopt when he moves out. Raylan. Often people who are on the spectrum will provide information that sounds like lectures to other people, and the other people can be offended. I don't fully understand why they are offended. I just know that it sounds like you are experiencing something that I often experience, that I try to explain something to someone because they do not have this info yet. I would say nah, just different communication styles. Oop, I am actually on the spectrum, so this makes a lot of sense. I didn't include that because I didn't think it was relevant, or people might say I'm using it as an excuse. Thank you for your comment. I still need to work on me talking or trying to explain stuff comes across. Update 1 year and a half later, January 29, 2024. I'm sitting waiting for the bus and popped onto this account and saw my old AITA post and that I had a draft of an update I never posted. Well, it turns out everyone was right and he broke up with me. Haha, just kidding. Here was my draft. Well, I have a happy update. Some Redditors said to not talk to my boyfriend and leave him alone. But I didn't want us to be on bad terms or have him think I thought his parents were bad. I messaged him again later and explained I had just wanted to share the knowledge I had because I knew they didn't know, but the timing was bad and how I expressed it came across as a lecture. I further explained I didn't think he or his parents were bad people. I apologized for how I came across in the timing and making it seems like a lecture. He apologized for walking away and said that wasn't appropriate. We both had a giggle at one of the comments that said my boyfriend wasn't going to be my boyfriend much longer. He said of course Reddit would say that and then gave me a hug. So everything is fine. I just need to work on my communication. For the Redditors who thought I was on the spectrum, you may be right. I'm too old to get tested now. Thought. Here is an update of the update. We live together now. He loves my 2 cats. Our cats now, I guess. Even though he's always been a dog person. He said if we ever broke up he'd get a cat cause he would miss having one so much. Everything with us is pretty okay. There's some minor relationship problems. But every relationship has those. They are not related to cats or communication though. What I'm learning is that there's no perfect person. But there's imperfect people you can work with and support to make each other happy. No spicy drama or anything crazy. Just 2 people doing their best in a world that kinda sucks. If the economy wasn't so bad our relationship problems would all be fixed. 2 people going to school and working full-time isn't that fun? Lots of stress and not a lot of time to be together. But can't help that, can we? #editor's note. Again, please remember the no brigading rule. Do not DM OOP or comment on their posts. This is becoming a serious problem on this sub and we don't want to get banned. This is a repost sub IAM, not the OOP. He told me I was being rude and said I lectured him like he was an alt-right declaw supporter. If the economy wasn't so bad our relationship problems would all be fixed. An alt-right declaw supporter. That's definitely a sentence.
I'm too old to get tested now though. Is it really? I thought you can still get tested no matter your age?
Obviously. People are going to do what they're going to do. But oh, if this whole "we broke up, just kidding" update joke is not nearly as clever as people seem to think it is. And yet it is constantly used. I don't get this whole lecture thing. Telling someone information that they previously didn't know isn't lecturing them and isn't a bad thing. Also, the BF was weird for immediately getting defensive when told how bad declawing is. How do y'all have conversations with people if they're not allowed to tell you facts and information? This isn't a wholesome update. My BF ignored the conflict and everything is okie dokie now. Giggle is suspiciously positive. It's like the time a landlord painted over a cockroach covering up the issue isn't solving the cause of that issue. I mean, I get that lecturing is obnoxious as hell and that the being on the spectrum provides context. But I feel like the other part of the context is equally important. Anyone who loves and owns cats is completely adamant about how bad declawing is. I'm not on the spectrum and I can see myself going off on an urgent tangent about how bad declawing is. And I would absolutely want people close to me to be educated on that. The parents ask something weird to begin with. It would absolutely shock me to have someone ask me if my cat has claws and I would want to impress Upon them, why the do have claws? I don't get what she did that was so bad. They could have just said, sorry, we're worried cat will scratch our furniture, and that would be enough. Hope the BF doesn't declaw his cat if he gets his own. I am a bit sad that Oops said she's too old to get diagnosed on the spectrum. That's actually not accurate at all. I am on the spectrum myself. Initially diagnosed at age 3. But no treatment or intervention after age 5. I ended up getting independently re-diagnosed at age 39. And my earlier diagnosis was not a factor in the 2021 diagnosis. Actually, the records that had that diagnosis are straight up gone. Most of my pediatric records are just AWOL. I can't believe people voted her top. It sure sounded like, you can stay with me if you do something horribly abusive to your cats. The kindest possible response is assuming they don't actually know how horribly abusive declawing is. And educating them. Because you might be saving some future pet of theirs. I dunno. I really don't like anyone who thinks being against something as inhumane as declawing is being an alt-right declaw supporter. OOP's boyfriend really does need to educate himself on how cruel that practice is. Why do people keep assuming the parents support declawing? It's such a leap. The parents don't have nor want cats. I wouldn't be surprised if the declawing thing was just a polite excuse for not wanting cats. Or oop, in their house. Even if they were neutral on cats. Saying you don't want natural tearing implements near your nice furniture isn't the same as saying you support declawing. It's such a ridiculous assumption just because someone wants to keep their furniture clean. I've never been diagnosed autistic, but I've definitely had this situation so many times that caused a lot of strife. It was hard to understand because I just thought they'd like to know more about it. Or at least it could help influence their decisions later in the line. I don't belittle any of the information. I'm not taking sides, I'm just pointing out what seems to be issue. You are coming off condescending towards them. Cat declawing is inhumane and horrible. They know this. And like their furniture more than your cats. You're trying to inform them like they don't know. And this is making them feel guilty and stupid. For what it's worth, you aren't ever too old to be evaluated for autism. That's an outdated idea that lives in the same trash heap as autism is a boy's disorder, and if a child smiled at their parent, they can't be autistic. Lots of neurodivergent folks get diagnosed in their 20s, 30s, or even later because they didn't have access to that care at a younger age. Autism is a neurodevelopmental disorder, so it doesn't magically go away as you grow up. This may be a weird cat person thing, but most of us respond to the question, are your cats declawed? With a lecture on the horrors of declawing. So I completely understand why he was annoyed by a lecture he never asked for. Doesn't matter if he didn't ask for it, when it concerns animal cruelty. A lecture is absolutely needed. As someone very protective of my kitty who has guilt for having a declawed cat back when it was much more normalized, I totally get why Oop felt the need to say something. But I can also see why the BF felt it was inappropriate given the context. But this was such a clear example of a problem that only needed a bit of communication to solve, so I'm glad they sorted it. Well, today I learned that there is such a thing as declawing a cat and just how horrible it is. Never heard of this before. Looked it up, and yeah, in my country it is very illegal and considered animal cruelty. But now I know this happens and the world suck a little more. So one of my cats is declawed on his front 2 paws. He was like that when I adopted him. Whenever I bring him to the vet, I apologetically explain that I got him that way. I have so much guilt over him missing his front claws. I am actually on the spectrum, so this makes a lot of sense. For the Redditors who thought I was on the spectrum, you may be right. I'm too old to get tested now. Thought.
If you enjoyed this video, please check out our playlists full of similar content. Epic Ericast is like doom scrolling for your ears. Please like, share, and subscribe.